We're live streaming this press conference as well. Firstly, I want to thank you guys for turning up this week. It was a tremendous turnout from the press. It's been a brilliant 2 weeks. Madison Square Garden last week, MGM Grand this week. Of course, we want to thank them as well. Really proud of Devin Haney, Bill, and the team because probably a year ago, a little bit more, 15 months, we were struggling for a bit of direction. I felt that people were avoiding Devin Haney and they didn't want to fight him unless they were overpaid effectively. And I want to also thank the Zone for not just investing in Devin Haney, but investing in the opposition to make sure we get the fights that we need. And over the last 12 months, he's gone Gamboa, Linares and Jojo Diaz. That's the best resume of any lightweight out there in the recent year or more. And although we give respect to George Kambosos for the standout victory against Teofimo Lopez, I really feel like this last year has been incredible. And I think we also need to remember that Devin Haney is 23 years of age. And his maturity in the ring, his ring IQ is that of a 32-year-old in his prime, because at times in that fight tonight, through 3 or 4 rounds, for a lot of people it would have got very messy. They could have unravelled. But he kept his composure, he controlled the complete middle stages of the fight. And I know he won't be fully happy with his performance, but it's just every time he steps in there, it's a performance beyond his years. And, as a Brit promoting in America, I'm really, really proud that Devin and Bill chose us and believed in us, because it means a lot to have such a great talent. I feel like the best young talent in American boxing as part of our team. And we are a great team, down to Devin and Bill do an amazing job, Ben Davis and all the training team, Church, of course, who's the standout star of Team Haney. And I want to thank everybody, and especially the media, and as I said, the Zone as well. And I feel like he has an incredible future. Of course, we'll talk about the next step, and for us it's only one step, and that's George Kambosos. And I think we're one of the few that will go to Australia. And when he does, I believe he'll become undisputed champion. And to do that on a stage like that and come back is the kind of move and the kind of fight that will truly make Devin a global star. So we're going to go to the floor for questions for the champion.
Yeah, this is Skip Brown with Dante's Boxing Nation by way of IPTV. First of all, congratulations, champ, on a magnificent, impressive win.
Thank you.
Impressive victory. Now, I noticed that you invested in the body early. You know what I'm saying? Do you think that took a toll on him? Noticeably took a toll on him? Did it cut some of his power off?
Yeah, first off, I want to start off by saying I want to thank God. Alhamdulillah, I want to thank my team, my dad, Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing, The Zone, my whole team. It was a great training camp. Everyone played their part, so I want to thank all of them. And to your question, I knew that he was a southpaw, so part of the game plan was to, hit him with the right hand to the body, and I felt like I did that, and he was slowing down. I could hear him breathing late in the fight. He was taking deep breaths. So I do feel like the body attacks did pay off late in the fight. But the ref kept warning me about hitting him low, but he had his cup was high, like you couldn't even see his belly button. That's how high his cup was. So I wasn't really hitting him low, but I do feel like the body attack paid off.
Yeah, Miguel might be able to fight you. You mentioned the warnings that the ref gave you. Did it concern you any time throughout the fight that he was in a deductive point?
Yeah, of course. Whenever the ref warns you, more than one time, you do think that as you start to think like, oh, I don't want to do it because I don't want to do that again because I don't want the ref to take a point.
Boxing King Media. Devin, Eddie's shown you great loyalty, putting you in 3 big fights back to back. I know this is a fight-by-fight deal. Is this relationship going to continue, or are you going to weigh up your options?
Of course, Of course, Eddie Hearn believed in me when, a lot of people didn't. So, of course, I want to, have my whole career with Eddie Hearn. He's, done a lot for me, and I couldn't thank him enough.
Can I get 10% for something?
You're now better. Just with Easy Boxing News, congratulations with that great performance. How do you compare his punching card compared to Linares's?
Well, obviously, the fight with Linares hurt me. It was obvious that I got hurt in that fight. But in this fight, I wasn't hurt at all. His pressure was much more than Linares, but his punching power wasn't as hard.
Mike?
Devin, congratulations on the great performance.
Thanks, man.
First off, you know, a lot of people used to have the knock on you was, oh, Devin's in boring fights. Now you're doing 2 really exciting fights back to back.
Yeah.
At what point do people have to call you an exciting fighter?
Yeah, I definitely think that I showed that I'm an exciting fighter once again tonight. You know, some people say that all I do is run in there, but in times I wasn't running at all. But in there we got into some great exchanges, and I wasn't shy to exchange with him. So I think it was a very entertaining fight. The crowd was on their feet from round 1 to round 12. So yeah.
And how important is it to you to be an exciting action fighter? Because you all know that you could make it easier probably if you wanted to, but this is an entertainment sport. It's entertainment at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, of course, I always want to, you know, entertain the fans. I want the fans to be happy with the fight that I put on. But you know, styles make fights, and sometimes you know you fight different ways to get the win. But I feel like I fought a very exciting fight tonight, and got the win.
Champ, Adriana Jimenez with Fino Boxing, congratulations on that terrific victory. How would you assess your performance tonight, and did Jojo Diaz bring anything that surprised you?
I thought I put on a good performance. Of course, you know, the best way to win in the ring is a knockout, and I did hurt him a few times in the fight, but I went in there. People forget that I'm still 23 years old. That's my 3rd former world champion in a row. Jojo Diaz didn't lose his belt at 130. He didn't make weight, so he's coming off the biggest win of his career against Javier Fortuna, and he walked Javier Fortuna down the whole fight. So he has experience. And I just feel like he brought the best out of me. So I'm happy with my performance, and we got the win. So now we on to the next.
Champ side, the crowd often, you know, they'll react if they see certain shots. It looks like a lot of the shots weren't really landing clean. How do you even hear the crowd when you're in the ring?
Yeah. I do agree with that. You know, the crowd was going crazy sometimes when he was just hitting like my arms or gloves, or even missing sometimes. But it's part of the game, you know. At the end of the day, the crowd can't win the fight for him, and the scorecard showed.
Congratulations, Diaz, on your victory.
Thank you.
Town Business Sports and Entertainment.
Yes, sir. Town
I know
Business.
you guys want to rest, but what's the time frame we could possibly get the undisputed with you and Kambosos?
I think obviously both come off tough fights. Kambosos a tougher fight, got marked up pretty bad, and I think that realistically we're looking at probably something around May time. I mean, I'd like to see Devin take a nice break, get back in camp maybe early February, but also the only other issue we have to resolve is the travelling issue. You know, see what happens with the pandemic. Right now we can enter certain parts of Australia with no quarantine. That could change, that could improve. But really now it's about speaking to the Australian government. We don't, by the way, rule out the fact of doing the fight in America or in the Middle East or anywhere. You know, it's the undisputed championship, and that's a big pull for many different regions around the world. But we'll explore all of those, present them to Devin, and obviously present them to George Kambosos, his team as well. But we don't, you know, it's not just we're packing our bags to go to Australia. That's where George would like to do it. We have to be represented properly in this situation as well, and make sure it's the right position for Devin Haney to be in. There may be many options for this fight, but I think realistically, end of April earliest, but May is probably the time for the undisputed fight.
Can you talk about the franchise belt?
What is that? I don't even know what the franchise belt is. No, really, this franchise title, I don't even know what the franchise belt is. I never even seen the franchise belt.
One thing that is really important about the franchise, and Maurizio Sullivan doesn't like me, and I respect Maurizio Sullivan, I love Maurizio Sullivan, but the situation is very, very clear. You cannot unify with a franchise belt. Therefore, it is absolutely impossible to be undisputed with a belt that you cannot unify with. And you guys have got to understand that. You understand that one? It doesn't matter about sanction fees. I forget sanction fees. I'm just saying that Maurizio will say George Kambosos is undisputed. The other governing bodies you cannot unify with a franchise belt. Therefore, you cannot. And I'm not saying he shouldn't be undisputed. We should have fought Lomachenko a year ago. And Devin, when we looked at a route for championships, and this was another reason that actually it sidelined us, because I said to Devin Haney, who do you want to fight? And he said, Vasily Lomachenko. We carved out a route to go after Vasily Lomachenko for the WBC title. It became his mandatory. Top Rank wanted to avoid Devin Haney, and they requested he be made franchise champion. Lomachenko didn't.
And with all due respect, when I do fight for the undisputed, I don't want the franchise title. I don't want anything franchise attached to me. At the end of the day, I will be fighting for the WBC belt, and they can keep the franchise. If Kambosos wants to keep the franchise, go ahead.
Well, originally you couldn't win the franchise. Now it's changed plays.
Talking about a guy who changes his mind every day depending on how much money.
Look, Mauricio Suleiman does a huge amount for boxing. We won't always agree with him, and I'll always argue with him, but he does do a lot of good things for boxing. On this situation, it's just that George Kambosos is not undisputed. Maybe he deserves to be. Maybe TFE might be, but he's not. And it's the only way we can settle it is to make this fight.
Eddie and Devin, if you could both chime in on this. You, Devin, do you get the sense that you feel that you are going to get that fight with George? I know you mentioned, hey, open the checkbook, I have a lot of options, but do you personally feel that like he
Of course, I'm definitely thinking positive. I do think that George wants to fight. I think that he wants to test himself. But at the end of the day, talk is cheap. We can say what you want to do and what you want to do, but at the end of the day, if we don't make the fight happen, then what? We have to make the fight happen, and then it won't be no more talk. And the fight is easy to be made. He says he wants it. I say I want it. I just fought. He just fought. So we're both open. Our schedule is both clear to fight each other. So I think we're on a collision course.
The one thing I'll say as well, coming back to your question, is we also have options, and that's what's changed over the last year particularly. A fight with Ryan Garcia is a massive fight if he gets himself back together. Tank Davis is a fight he will take. In time, who knows? T.O. Lomachenko's fighting in a couple of weeks. We just want to be undisputed, and for a long time it looked like we were frozen out of everywhere. Now he's one fight away from being undisputed, but he has plenty of options as well. What was your next question?
I was going to ask you, you had a contingency plan, but you just listed.
Loads of options. I've always felt, don't forget that Ryan Garcia fought a final eliminator to fight Devin Haney. And again, you guys never really questioned him on that either.
I have a question for your father, Bill, who was working your corner. What was your analysis on the fight? And because we were in the crowd, what was your direction to Devin throughout the fight?
Well, thank you, Chancellor. Thank you, Matchroom, Zone, and I want to thank Allah for blessing us with the great victory. Alhamdulillah. Jojo Diaz came to fight. He came, he brought the dog, but another dog showed up. We couldn't be more proud of Devin and what Jojo Diaz brought out of Devin is a fighter that is continually growing right before our eyes, so we must be patient with this process. And it was excellent. He made the adjustments at the right time. And like I said, I couldn't be more happy. Of course, Jojo put up a hell of a fight. He didn't come to lay down. He applied pressure in a way that Linares didn't. He was very relentless. So it's not so much as what we could have did more without me looking at the tapes. It's so much as what Jojo didn't let him do, and it's a testament to him.
I've got a question over here, Maestro from Maestro Boxing and ACP. I'd like you guys to just talk about what you accomplished here today as it relates to essentially clarity at 135 pounds. It wasn't long ago that people were saying that fights weren't happening in this division, much like at 147. Last 2 weeks, we've had all belts being contested on one network. So that's a big deal. Could you guys talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's been a tremendous run for DAZN. I'm a DAZN guy. All I see week in, week out is pay-per-view fights, and I think to be an American fight fan, you've got to be a stock market trader or an oil tycoon to pay for all these pay-per-view fights week in, week out. You just had 2 tremendous fights of the year in the lightweight division with all the belts on the line as part of your monthly subscription. And I just think DAZN is the best blessing for boxing. I think it's the ultimate destination for fight fans, the ultimate value for money as well. And they're investing in fighters, and they have, you have to have a plan across divisions. And I think when you look at the lightweight division, although we've made 2 tremendous fights, think of the fights that are out there. Like, these guys are so young, they can fight each other 2, 3 times. You know, Teofimo could be back, Lomachenko could be back, Ryan Garcia, tank. You know, and the beauty is letting everybody fight everybody. And honestly, I can't, like, for the last 2 years nearly, Devin Haney has been asking for Lomachenko, Teofimo Lopez, Ryan Garcia, Tank Davis. And he said, and Bill has told me, we will fight any of those guys now. That's 2 years. He was 21 when he was calling for those fights. And I'm just pleased to see him getting a resume now that he's, because a lot of teams and a lot of managers and advisors, they don't want the tough fights. These guys want the tough fights, and they're willing to go out of their way to make it happen.
Well, Devin wants a tough fight. Can you talk about that, Devin?
Yeah, I want to test myself. I want to fight the best fighters out there, or the so-called best fighters in there, and it's shown. You know, any guy that I've called out and they answered, and I end up fighting them. You know, it's never been any type of confusion or, you know, me backing out. Any guy that I called out and they were willing to fight me, I fought them. You know, Jojo Diaz is an Olympian, former Olympian. He's former 2-time world champion. He said, let's do it. I said, let's do it. We got the fight made, and it was simple as that. Same with Linares. Same with whoever else. You know, I want to fight George Kambosos. So the fight should be easy to be made. I want to fight the best fighters out there, and it's obvious. And you guys gotta respect that. I feel like you guys don't, you know, accept it enough, and you know, speak about it enough that I am willing to fight the best fighters out there. I'm not ducking or dodging nobody.
Eddie, just a quick question on the atmosphere tonight. Great atmosphere. Felt like I was back in the UK. Devin has star quality. Is there a possibility you could bring him to the UK?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we came to the UK. I've never seen anything like it. We did a media day. I was a bit worried. I bought an American fighter over. It was ages ago. It was well over a year ago, before the pandemic. And I was thinking, do a media day. I wonder if anyone turned up. They were queuing down the street. Never seen a day so busy. I'd actually like him to come over. Ben Algieri might be a bit close, but Chisora Parker in a couple of weeks come over to the UK. They love him in the UK. We would have done a big number on the zone tonight for our UK subscribers, and you know, UK fight fans, very, very knowledgeable fight fans, and they know Devin Haney's for real.
Muhammad Mubarak with the Electronic Pyramid Report. The MGM Grand Garden Arena in this location has a history of having great fights and big fights. How do you feel about this particular event in your life at this point to be fighting here?
I'm so grateful for this opportunity.